for ages 5 and above, and for ages 2 to 5 years old, we're going to have babysitting down the hall in the pre-K room in Rise Academy. So please guide your kids to the Farsi hall or babysitting room. Thank you.
صلوات على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم رجسه وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ولعنة الله على أعدائهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم حسبنا الله نعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير صلوا على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد Quickly to recap from yesterday's speech, we said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran has made the purpose and objective of fasting. That what was the objective and the purpose of fasting? Anybody remembers? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may gain taqwa. That fasting is not for the sake of atonement, it's not for the sake of getting rid of our bad deeds, that it's not a form of punishment. In other traditions it has come that because the previous nations like Christianity and Judaism, that they have committed certain sins, and so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed upon them fasting. However, in our religion, that's not the case. That the purpose and the objective behind fasting is so that we gain taqwa. Yesterday we mentioned that there's two ways of getting taqwa. What were the two different ways of us achieving and gaining taqwa? Anybody remember? No? Yes? Contemplation, okay. That is one way of getting taqwa, but there were two specific ways. Who remembers? Okay, good. So one of the ways that we gain taqwa is that we stay away from certain things. We refrain from certain things. We gave the example of a person who's sick. A person who's sick, in order for them to stay healthy, they have to stay away from certain things. If somebody has diabetes, then they need to stay away from sugar. If somebody has high blood pressure, then they should stay away from salty items. Right? So the first way of gaining taqwa is that those things which are harmful for us, we need to stay away from them. We need to remain far from them. And the second way of gaining taqwa was what? Yes. Ahsantum. By fortifying and by strengthening ourselves so that if any danger comes to us, we're able to withstand that. And that danger won't affect our iman. So we said the best opportunity for us to do this is the month of Ramadan, because in this month of Ramadan we are given this opportunity where we stay even not only from the haram things which we're supposed to stay away from, but it's actually giving us a confidence boost that those things which are halal, that we can even stay away from those things. And if we can stay away from those things that are halal for a few number of hours, then we are also able to stay away from those things which are haram. And in this month of Ramadan, how do we fortify ourselves? How do we make ourselves strong? How do we increase our taqwa? By recitation of the Quran, by our du'as, by our munajat, by namaz al-shab, by all of these things. And we said that one of the ways in order to gain that level of ma'rifat, that ma'rifat comes through what? Ma'rifat comes through at-tafakkur. That a person on the Day of Judgment, that they will be rewarded based on the level of intellection that they apply in their religion. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the person in Jannah their rank based on how much of their intellect they use in their religion. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad. So we've been talking about tafakkur, we've been talking about contemplation and introspection. What are some of the things that we should be introspecting about? We mentioned yesterday that some of the things that we should be introspecting about is we should be thinking about our past, our future, we should think about our life, and we should also think about our death. One of the most important things that we should remind ourselves is that death is inevitable, that we're moving towards death and that there's no escape from death. We should ask ourselves, are we ready for death? Have we sent anything forward for our lives after this dunya? Are we prepared for that phenomena which is going to happen to us? This is something very important. One of the other things that we should spend a little time doing tafakkur is we should try to understand and know the purpose of our lives. We're all living here, we're all residing here. We should ask ourselves, what purpose are we fulfilling? Why are we here? Why were we sent here? What have we accomplished? And in order to determine our purpose, we have to figure out why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why He created us. And there's no answer where you could just have to memorize a certain line. That's not the way our purpose becomes fulfilled. The only way we can understand our purpose and objective in life is through reflection, is through asking ourselves. Unfortunately, this is a question that when you start asking these questions to people, people start getting fidgety. They start moving, they start getting anxious, because it's a very important question. And people have neglected answering this question. They've answered many, many other questions in their life, but this question, which is perhaps the most important question in their existence, they've never answered. They've contemplated about this question. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. When we know what is the purpose in our life, one of the beautiful things that happens is that our life becomes much easier to live. Every decision that we have to make, it becomes an easier decision for us to make. Why? Because we just have to ask ourselves, does this decision help my purpose? Does this decision help me reach my objective? If it helps me reach my objective, then I should do this action. But if this action doesn't allow me to reach my objective, then there's no point doing it. So one of the things that when we know our purpose in our lives, it makes living our lives easier. When we know what to do with our time, we know what hobbies to have, we know where we should spend our time, we know what we should study, we know where we should work, we know who we should marry, we know all of these questions, they become a lot easily answered when we know the purpose of our lives. And we can only know it again through reflection and through introspection. However, one of the biggest impediments for us to reflect on our lives is that we human beings were very distracted in our lives. There's so many different distractions that are going on that it's difficult for us to take the clutter out of our mind and to sit down and think for a few moments. There's always thoughts coming in, coming out. It's very difficult for people to concentrate in their lives. And this issue of distraction is something, it's an important issue which the Quran addresses, and we should also try to overcome some of these distractions in the month of Ramadan. There was a social experiment that took place in Princeton Theological Seminary in New Jersey. What they did was, the people who organized this experiment, they took all of the students who were there and they assigned them a certain topic. They gave them a topic like helping other people, helping those people who are in need, helping those people who are sick, being a good Samaritan. They gave all of the students a topic, and they said that at this designated place, at this designated time, we want you to come there and deliver a lecture. So all of these students were doing their masters, and they were students of theology. And so all of these students, they prepared for this lecture, and when the time came for them to give their sermon, they went to that building. And what the people who had organized that experiment, what they did was, outside of the building, they put an old man there. And that old man was groaning in pain. He was acting as if he was hurt. Now, the students who were asked to give this sermon, their topic were about helping other people. But what they found in this experiment, that despite them talking about this issue of helping other people and supporting other people, those people who are in need, they found that only 10% of the people who were supposed to deliver those lectures stopped and helped them. The other 90% just walked by without even caring for them. And later on, when they asked them, why is it that you didn't help them? The way they responded was, well, we didn't even notice that anybody was in need. That although they're giving a sermon about a certain topic about helping other people, but because they're so distracted, they walked by the person and the person is groaning, the person is aching in pain, but they just walk by and they didn't even realize that that person is there. And the reason why this is because they are distracted. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And this experiment is very telling because it shows that we human beings were so preoccupied with our thoughts that we forget about our reality. We forget about where we're living. We forget about our surroundings. We're living in our minds. We're not living in our surroundings. And sometimes those distractions that are in our mind, sometimes they're good things and sometimes they're bad things. But however, in modern society that we're living in, is that we're under this constant pressure. I mean, I think here in the West Coast, it's probably a little bit easier. I know in East Coast, everything is done in a rush. There's always pressure. There's always things need to get done. There's deadlines. People are driving quickly. People are going quickly. People are in a constant rush in their lives. So much so that, at least in the East Coast, I haven't been here that much in the West Coast, so I can't say. But in the East Coast, people don't even have time to greet one another. They just walk by and, even if someone greets them, they just grunt at them. I think it's perhaps a little bit better in the West Coast because of the nice weather. But the problem is that people, they cannot empathize with others because they're so overwhelmed with their own thoughts that they're just living their own lives and they forget about their surroundings. And so in this experiment, what this experiment tells us is that people are, because they're so busy with their own thoughts, that even when they are asked to talk about a certain topic, they cannot apply that concept in reality because there's a disconnect between what is in their minds and what is in reality. And so all of us, we live a life which we're in constant distraction and we're being overstimulated. Every moment we're being stimulated. Right? We have cell phones. Every couple of seconds, a message comes, a ping comes, a new message comes. There's alerts, there's notifications. And all of these things, what are they doing? They're overwhelming our minds. These programs and these apps which are there, they're designed to interrupt our lives. They're designed to get us hooked and they bait us into it, right? We watch YouTube, right? We watch one video on YouTube and on the side comes recommended videos. And we watch one video and then the next one and the next one, and before we know it, how much time passes by. The purpose of these apps is that they're trying to bait us in, to bring us in so that we engage in these type of things. And so when we engage in these type of things, we forget about our own reality and we start living the reality which is in those gadgets. The Quran mentions a very important point. And that point is that all of us believers, that one of the things that we should focus upon is we should focus on priorities. We should have priorities in life. And what is the greatest priority in our life? The Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu alaykum anfusukum. That, O you who believe, take care of your own souls. Take care of your own selves. La yadurrukum man dhalla idha ihtadaytum. If someone becomes misguided, if someone goes astray, their misguidance shouldn't affect you if you have brought faith. Ilallahi marji'ukum. Remind yourselves of where your goal is, where your destination is. You're going towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't live a life which you're idle, distracted, where you're not living in the present moment, where you're not mindful about your surroundings. You're just completely engrossed in that movie or in that app or in those different activities which are on the cell phone or other gadgets. Don't become so distracted that you forget where your destination is. Your destination is towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this has a lot of problems, that when we become distracted with certain things, it results in weakness in our relationships. It results in those family bonds which are there, they begin to deteriorate. Our relationship with our spouses begins to deteriorate. Our relationship with our children, with our friends, it begins to all deteriorate. There's a story that Sayyid Ali Qadi, one of our Urafa who lived in last century, the teacher of many of our great scholars of Aghay Hassan Zadeh and Allama Tabatabai. There's a story that when he was in Najaf, somebody had come and taken a picture of him, with him sitting with his students. And so when they took a picture, the Polaroid came out. And when the Polaroid came out, all the students got up from Sayyid Ali Qadi and they began looking at that picture. And they started, all this commotion was there, people were pushing, they all wanted to see the picture. And he turns to them and he says, Ey ahmaq, man inja vaishadam chara unja nigah mikuni. He said, I'm right here, I'm standing right here. Why are you going looking at the picture? The picture is something fake. If you want to see me, come look at me. Look at my real self. I'm standing right here. I'm sitting right here. But because they were so distracted with that picture that they forgot about the real thing. Salawatullah Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad. So technology, social media, these are huge, huge distractions that we have in our life. And not only are they distractions, but they have a major impact in the world. We know a few years ago, the Arab Spring which happened, that one of the things that played a great role in overthrowing Mubarak in Egypt and Ben Ali in Tunis was actually social media. These messages that were going out, the protests that were being promoted through these apps. So it's something which is very important and something which is very influential. But I want to discuss this concept of social media and technology, not on a global level, but more on a personal, individual level. And the problem with social media on a personal level is that people cannot control how much exposure they get to that type of social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be. Why? Because there's always something else to click on. There's always something else to read about. There's always another picture to see. There's always another video out there. So a person never gets fulfilled. Another person doesn't feel content because there's always something which he's missing out. Right? There's something called FOMO, fear of missing out. They don't want to get deprived of anything. So they watch and watch and watch and they get overstimulated. One of the problems with social media is that it gives immediate reward with very little effort. What that means is that there's constant and instant gratification which happens at the click of a button. So the result of it is that, especially children growing up, instead of getting into the habit of working hard, they get into the habit of instant gratification. That at a moment's click, they get what they need, right? You can see even sometimes when the internet slows down, people get really worried. People get really antsy. Why isn't my Google search, why isn't it coming up immediately? Because they become habituated that almost immediately and almost instantly they want to answer. But that's not how life works. Life works through working hard. Life works through patience, right? Those things which are the sweetest things, they come slow. So one of the problems is that because social media gives us that instant gratification, that exerting mental aptitude is no longer there. People lack patience. People lack perseverance. They want things quickly. Additionally, one of the other problems with social media is that when we have face-to-face conversations, when we have a conversation, when we're standing in front of somebody, when we're sitting with somebody, face-to-face conversation, 30 to 40% of the time, we're only talking about ourselves, right? If we're having a conversation, between 30 to 40% of the time, researchers show that conversation is about me. However, when they're talking on social media, they say that 80% of social media interaction, that 80% of it is about me. So what's happening is that the person is building up their nafs. Before, when we're having a face-to-face conversation, only 30% of the time we're talking about ourselves. But when we're online, when we're on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it may be, 80% of the time, we're only talking about ourselves. So what happens, we become narcissistic. We become self-centered. It's all about me. It's all about my life. It's all about my accomplishments. It's all about what I'm doing. And so what happens is that this builds up the nafs. The nafs becomes something which is uncontrollable. It builds up arrogance. It builds up self-centeredness, where a person thinks that they're the central aspect of their lives. And they become so self-involved. If you see sometimes people, every couple of minutes, they post something online. They post where they are, they post what they're eating, what they're wearing. They constantly posting these type of things. And people are watching these type of things. And so one of the reasons why actually depression happens is because, especially among young people, is that when they see these types of posts, when they see these types of when they see these type of posts and other images that other people went to this place, they went to this mall, they're wearing this clothes, they take pictures of their food and they post it, they went on this vacation, they're sitting on this boat, they're sitting in this car, whatever it may be, one of the things that happens is that they begin to think how deprived I am. Instead of thinking of how many things I have, they go and look at other people's profiles and they see, look at how much they have. And they say, how come I don't have those things? How come I'm deprived of those things? So what happens? They become discontent. They become unhappy. And the more they see, the more they think that we don't have. The more they think they lack. And so when a person thinks they lack something, then the eventual result of that is depression, is anxiety, is unhappiness, is sadness. So the effects of this are very dangerous. So that's why we say that there's a hadith that says, Al-qana'a malun la yanfad. That being content is a commodity which will never come to an end. To be content with the things that you have in your life. Look at the things that you have. Don't always look at the things that you don't have. And so social media promotes this idea that we have more and more and more, and it makes a person feel as if they have less and less and less. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad wa. One of the other effects, because we're talking about what are those things which distract us from reflecting, because one of the ways that we raise our level of ma'rifat is through reflection. One of the distractions is social media. So one of the other problems that social media is that it demoralizes a person. A person, when they're in a certain gathering, when they're in a certain place, certain things they cannot say, certain things they cannot do, certain ways they do not act. However, when they're online, they're completely anonymous, right? Nobody knows their personality, nobody knows who they are. They're completely anonymous. They're sitting in front of a screen. They can type a couple of words and send that message to whatever they want. They can send whatever message they want. So what happens is that they become emboldened because of their anonymity. They become emboldened to say whatever they want. Things that they wouldn't say in person, they begin to say online. Things they say online, we would never even think that they would say in person. But because of that being anonymous, they start saying those type of things. And so what happens is that once a person becomes anonymous, they become habituated to saying those type of things. It loses their morality. It loses their haya. They start saying things which are inappropriate. That's why if you look online, most of these comments, they're insulting comments. They're vulgar comments. They're comments which are using, derogatory words and deriding other people. Why? Because of being anonymous. Whereas when we talk in person, there's that level of respect which we have, and it's gone. Because of social media and these type of things, it destroys our morality. I mean, I'm sure even in this community, you've seen it too. That sometimes people, they make up a fake email, and then they start sending out emails to people about other people, saying this person did this person did that, they're like this, they're like that, and completely, destroying, the links within a community, falsifying information about other people, talking bad about other people, labeling other people. And so what happens is that social media and these type of things becomes a medium for people to spread these types of wrong messages. Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali. During the Prophet's time, the Muslims, they were under a constant threat, and they were under a constant attack by the mushrikeen and the Quraysh and by other tribes. One of the problems that was there was that a certain rumor would come, and people, they would hear this rumor, and they would begin circulating these rumors among the people. They would say, for example, did you hear that there's an army standing outside of Medina? The army is extremely powerful. They have the most advanced weaponry. They have this many cavalry, this many horsemen, they have this many fighters. They're standing and they're waiting to attack us. So what they would do is they would start circulating these rumors around. And people, what happened was that their morale would go down. People would feel threatened that outside there's going to be an imminent threat, there's going to be an imminent attack. And so whatever they hear, they just go and they start repeating those type of things. So this verse of the Quran came down. وَإِذَا جَاءَهُمْ أَمْرٌ مِّنَ الْأَمْنِ أَوِ الْخَوْفِ. That if some news pertaining to security, pertaining to war, whatever it may be, أَذَاءُوا بِهِ. What they do is they go and they announce it. They go and they disseminate these type of news. وَلَوْ رَدُّوهَا إِلَى الرَّسُولِ وَإِلَى أُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْهُمْ. If they only, instead of spreading these type of rumors, that they took these rumors or they took these reports and gave it to the Prophet or those people, أُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ, that those people who have authority among you, الَّذِينَ يَسْتَنْبِتُونَهُ مِنْهُمْ. Then they would have gone and they would have seen whether are these reports true or whether they're false. And so what happens is, because they heard something, they just go and they start spreading these false rumors. They start spreading these false ideas. And the result of that is that the morale of the entire community goes down. People begin to think that they're under attack. It creates anxiety. It lowers the people's faith and belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so This verse is telling us that even if you get a certain email, if you get a certain text message, whatever it may be, don't just go sending it to all these different people. First, verify what you're saying. Is it true? Is it useful? Is it helpful? Don't think that I can send this message to hundreds and hundreds of people. Let me go do it. Let me be the first person to tell other people. That's not the right way of doing it. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali. There's a hadith from the Prophet where he says, "Ikhzan lisanika illa min khair." That habituate your tongue and allow your tongue only to say those things which are good. If you get a certain message on social media, if you get a certain email, don't go spreading these type of things. Because a lot of times it causes fitna. The Quran says, قُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا. Say to people husna, those things which are good. Don't send out those emails. Even if you get an email, even if you get a message saying that so-and-so did this, don't go out sending those type of things, because it goes against the Quranic command that say only good to people. Don't get involved in these controversial matters. Don't get involved in these matters of creating fitna. Stay away from these things. And so we have another hadith where Imam al-Qadim, he says, "Tuba liman kana sumtuhu fikra." That fortunate is the one, or successful is the one whose quietness, whose silence is spent in thinking. Instead of us being on our phones, constantly sending messages, forwarding different emails, whatever it may be, that a person should refrain from these things, step away from these things, and think and reflect and ask themselves, what is my purpose? Where is my goal and where am I going? Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And this is what tafakkur is. Tafakkur is decluttering our mind. Tafakkur is taking those things out of our mind and to think about those things which are worthy of thinking. Don't think about things which are low. Don't think about previous events. Don't think about other people. Think on a lofty level. Think on a high level. Ask yourself, where am I going? What purpose am I serving? And so what we find is people, they do this obsessive posting online. They talk about their lives, every single aspect of their lives, they talk about it on the internet. And this is something which is harmful for themselves, and it's also harmful for other people. And so when they're engrossed with these type of things, either posting or reading, what happens is that they don't live in reality. They live in some type of whimsical perception of reality, of their own mind, which they made up. It's completely distorted. What they're reading online, what they're seeing online, doesn't reflect which is happening. When you read a lot of these posts, or we see these Instagram things, people present their lives as if they're perfect. Lives are not perfect. Everybody has hardships. Everybody has difficulties. So when people start reading about other people's lives, they think that their life is perfect, their life is golden, that they're not going through any issues. But they're only getting a selected picture of what's actually happening in the world. A person will think, well, my life isn't like this. And like I said, it results in depression, it results in unhappiness. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali. The Quran says, Alhaakum at-takathur. One of the things which has distracted mankind is takathur, is multiplicity, is abundance. Because of being overstimulated with information, because of having so much data around us, a person becomes distracted about themselves. A person gets distracted about some of the most important questions they need to ask in their lives. Hatta zurtumul maqabir. One of the mustahab acts that should be done, especially should be done in the month of Ramadan, is that we should go to the graveyard. We should go to our loved ones who are deceased, and we should recite Fatiha, we should recite Surah Al-Yasin. One of the reasons for this is so that we become reminded of where we are going and what our destination is. That don't let takathur, don't let abundance and kithrat and multiplicity, don't let it distract yourselves from your life. Focus on those real things in your life. The media has become extremely important in how we think and how we behave in our culture. It sculptures our mind. And one of the negative effects that social media has is that we no longer think for ourselves. We're being fed ideas. We're being put ideas into our mind, and we're being told to believe these type of things. In the late 1970s, there was this article which was written, 4 Arguments Against Television. This is in the 1970s. And the author, he brings 4 arguments, 4 very strong arguments for why we should ban TV. And this is in the 1970s. At that time, things were very, very conservative. He said the danger of television at that moment, at that time in the 70s, was that people they're no longer using their minds. People are opening their minds and allowing people to put in whatever they want. The propaganda is just being put in their minds. They no longer can analyze. They can no longer think. They're being told what to believe. They're being told what to think. And so because of this, the author, his premise was that if we continue like this, people will lose their level of intellection. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And we see that this is the reality. Over time, people, their memory, the level of memory, the strength of their memory goes down. People now, they suffer from ADD. People, they no longer, I remember when we were kids, we didn't have cell phones. So whatever numbers we had to memorize it. But now, because of cell phones and all of these things, I sometimes don't even know my own number because, it's not even worth memorizing it. So what happens is that our level of intellection, it goes down. So one of the things that we have to do in this month of Ramadan is put these things to the side. Put our cell phone away, put our tablet away, our iPad away, and think and reflect. Just because there's nothing to do, don't think that let me kill time by seeing what's online, by reading the news, by going on this person's Instagram and this person's Facebook, right? Don't just constantly check these things over and over again. A lot of times people get into this habit of checking their previous messages. I wonder what happened, what did they say, that if they got into a fight with somebody, so they go and recheck their old messages, who was really right? Was I right or were they right? And so all of those things, they come into a person's mind and they distract a person. See, one of the problems is that because we've become so addicted to cell phones and these type of things, that there's something which is called phantom vibration syndrome. And I witnessed this once myself. I was sitting with a brother and we were eating, and as we were eating, his cell phone is in front of him by his plate. And while we're eating, he's like, oh, my cell phone's ringing, and he's going in his pocket. And he's checking, he feels as if in his pocket, his cell phone is ringing, while his cell phone is in front of him. And he's checking the pockets, which pocket is my cell phone in? So they call this phantom vibration syndrome, that a person's cell phone has become part of their body that is actually vibrating when it's not really vibrating. Because we become so addicted to these smartphones and these gadgets. And this is something important, especially for parents to be aware of, that if parents are also doing these type of things, constantly checking their cell phones, constantly checking their emails, then their children will do the same thing. One of the rules that we have in my home is that at the dinner table that there's no cell phones. That while we eat, nobody brings their cell phone. Even if the cell phone rings, we don't pay attention. Because that time is time for family. We don't want to be distracted with those type of things. But if you see people, they're like zombies in the car. For hours, they're just watching videos. They're listening to things, constantly being overstimulated. Sometimes the cell phone rings or a message comes and the phone may not be accessible. It's always in the back of your mind, who texted me? Who called me? What message did I get? So what happens? It creates agitation. It makes a person feel antsy, and it makes a person feel restless. And eventually that's what happens. It becomes an addiction. People are addicted to their cell phones. So much so, they've taken brain scans of people who are addicted to their phones, and they compare those brain scans with people who are addicted to substances like alcohol and drugs. And they found that there are very strong parallels between these two. The people who are addicted to their cell phone, that their brain scans are very similar to those people who are addicted to hard substances. Found that there's a very significant decay in white matter in their brain. So it's something which is not only it's causing us spiritual harm, but it's also causing us physical harm. And so let us not, and especially in this month of Ramadan, let us not become so fixated on our phones, checking our phones every second. Islam teaches us a very important lesson, that whenever you do something, look at the mafasid and look at the masalih. Look at the pros and look at the cons. Don't just think that just because that there's pros in here that I should continue doing these things. Look at, do the pros and the cons, which one outweighs the other? If the pros are more, then do it. If the cons are more, then avoid doing it. And all of our ahkam, and actually our entire religion, is based off of this principle of looking at those things which are beneficial for you and those things which are harmful of you. Quran, when it introduces this topic of alcohol, it brings it at very different levels. The first time when Quran introduces alcohol, it says that it just brings the issue of alcohol into the people's mind. That and وَمِن ثَمَرَاتِ النَّخِيلِ وَالْأَعْنَابِ تَتَّخِذُونَ مِنْهُ سَكَرًا. And out of fruit of date palms and vines, date vines, you're able to draw wine and alcohol. And in the Quran, after the second level, when it was talking about this issue of alcohol, it sets a general law for all our actions. It says, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ. They come and they ask you concerning about alcohol and gambling. قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ وَمَنَافِعٌ لِلنَّاسِ. So the verse comes to the Prophet that says, قُلْ, that say to the people that in it there's an ithm, that there's harm in it, a great harm in it. وَمَنَافِعٌ لِلنَّاسِ, but there's also benefit in it. However, وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرْ مِن نَفْعِهِمَا. But its harm is greater than its good, so stay away from it. And then the next level which the Quran comes, which is لَا تَقْرُبُ الصَّلَاةِ وَأَنْتُمْ سُكَارَى. That when you're in a state of drunkenness, don't approach salat. And then the final stage which comes is absolute prohibition of alcohol. إِنَّمَا الْخَمْرُ وَالْمَيْسِرُ وَالْأَنْصَابُ رِجْسٌ. That is something which is impure and stay away from it. So the Islamic instruction is this, that whenever you do something, ask yourself, does the harm outweigh the benefit, or does the benefit outweigh the harm? Don't just do something for the sake of doing. I mean, I'm not trying to say that people should get rid of their cell phones, people should have put all their gadgets and these type of things away. That's not what I'm saying at all. You know, technology and cell phone and these smartphones which are there, they're actually a really important they're a blessing that we have, because we can do so much good because of these things, right? In this month of Ramadan, we're recommended that one of the things that we should do is Sila Ram, that we should those family members who we are no longer in communication with, those family members who were cut off from, that in this month of Ramadan, that we should go and we should visit them, we should contact them, we should talk to them, right? Social media and WhatsApp and these other type of things, it makes it easier for us to do that. We can easily send them a message. We can say Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan Mubarak, I hope your Ramadan is going well. And so we're able to do good through these type of things. I'm on several charity groups, and whenever there's a project which is there's probably hundreds of messengers. They open up they put a post, and everybody donates $20, $25, and within a few moments, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 are raised. So it's not as if social media and these type of things are completely bad, right? It's a tool. We have to make sure we use that tool for its purpose, and that we do not misuse that tool for the wrong purpose, right? If you want to eat food, you use a spoon. You don't use a screwdriver to eat your food. No, everything has its purpose. We have to make sure that we use it for that purpose. So social media and these type of things that we have, these are very useful tools that we have. These are important things that we have. However, we should not become so overwhelmed with these things where we're constantly checking it, where we're being distracted. Because we as human beings, we're distracted. Whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He asks us over and over in the Quran to do tafakkur. We can only do tafakkur if we are able to reflect, if we're not distracted. In the end, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that in this month of Ramadan, that He gives us the opportunity to truly reflect about our lives, to reflect about our beginning and to reflect about our end. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this month of Ramadan to give us the opportunity where we are able to bring our families together. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that whatever sins that we've committed in the previous months, that He forgives us. And He forgives the sins of our parents and our grandparents. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that wherever the oppressed people are in the world, that He remediates their hardships and their difficulties. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He hastens the dhuhur of our Imam al-Mahdi, ajjalallahu ta'ala farajuhu sharif. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma aghfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat wal muslimina wal muslimat الأحياء منهم والأموات تعبي اللهم بينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير صلوا على محمد وآل محمد اللهم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردن الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم الفاتحة مع الصلوات
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We welcome you to Saba Islamic Center here during the holy month of Ramadan. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your family to come and bring your friends and family. Inshallah, it's great to see the community coming here together. A lot of people come here for the first time and they're surprised by the diversity that we have and the ethnicities and the backgrounds and ages, and it's something we're really proud of. So inshallah, as we go further on throughout the nights, let's reach out to people that we've noticed here as it may be their first time. We may not have seen them in the past, and let's please make sure to introduce ourselves, introduce the people that you meet to the community, and inshallah we can build those bonds stronger, inshallah, as we move forward. Thank you, Sayyid Hussein Rizvi, for your lecture tonight. For those of you who don't know, Sayyid Hussein Razavi has been here for a few nights and is going to be joining us for the first half of the month of Ramadan. So we appreciate his time here. The schedule goes as follows. At 6:30 we have the recitation of the Holy Quran. At 7:30 the lecture by Sayyid Hussein Razavi starts. At 7:30, at the same time as the lecture, the children's program starts as well as the babysitting program. So for children, there's a dedicated program in the Farsi hall for children about 5 to 11, 5 to 12. For children about 2 to 5, there's a babysitting program down along the men's side of the building on the left-hand side in the babysitting room. At 8:20, we start Salah. Dinner will start at 8:45. And Dua Iftitah by 9:45. So we do have dinner sponsorship signups. You may have seen the massive sheet of paper that's tacked up on the wall, either in the men's or the ladies' side. I'm not sure what kind of printer that comes out of, but it's a huge sheet of paper. Up on the wall, you can go ahead and sign up for yourself, a partial night or a full night if you're able to. Please, inshallah, do step forward. Alhamdulillah, we have a lot of people that wish to sign up for some of the major nights, but we really do need the support throughout the month of Ramadan. So please, if you do have an opportunity, come forward, sign up for some of these early nights, inshallah. We can use your support. If you're looking to help with the volunteering or help with cleaning up, we do have volunteer sign-up sheets, either on the table here up here at the front or on the member on the men's side. And also we're pushing for a membership sign-ups. It's something that we're really looking for as we want to stabilize the revenue that's coming in and the donations that come in. It helps us to know and count on the revenue that's coming in. One-time donations are great, but really being able to count on revenue is helpful in terms of budgeting and planning. There's also a request for Surah Fatiha for Zainab al-Nisa, daughter of Anwar Nader Beg, and for Sayyid Muzammil Hassan Naqvi, the son of Sayyid Mahdi Hassan Naqvi, and to please recite, read Salatul Laylatul Dafan between Maghrib and Isha. So with that, please recite Surah Fatiha, and then we'll continue on with the program. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
8:21.
One more minute. 21.
20 seconds. Yeah, 20 seconds.
I don't want to start because people eat. That's the problem. When you say Allah Akbar, they start eating there. When you say Allah Akbar, they start eating there. So we have to be in time.
Yeah.
If you are giving now, we're gonna keep it right here.
Yeah. Thank you very much, brother.
इसका के बाद सुनाऊंगा जी
Thank you. कह रहा 2 मिनट रह गए। ओ आपका मैं भूल गया।
कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं।
कह रहा 2 मिनट रह गए।
You can see that. 8:21.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.